My name is Samson. I was born into a world where destiny seemed to weave itself into the very strands of my hair, where strength and courage were my constant companions, yet where the weight of choices and consequences bore heavily upon my shoulders. From the very moment of my birth, it was clear that I was different. My mother, blessed by an angel, was told that I would be a Nazirite, a servant of God, destined for a special purpose. This sacred vow bound me to a life of abstinence from certain pleasures, forbidding me from cutting my hair and demanding that I uphold purity and dedication to my divine calling. One such moment came when I ventured into the vineyards near Timnah, a young man eager to explore the world beyond the familiar hills of my home. It was there that I first laid eyes upon her, a Philistine maiden whose beauty captivated my heart like the first rays of dawn. Her laughter echoed through the vines as she tended to the grapes, her voice like a melody that danced upon the breeze. Instantly smitten, I resolved to make her mine, heedless of the long-standing enmity between my people, the Israelites, and her kin, the Philistines. With the blessings of my parents, I sought to formalize our union. As we made our way to Timnah to arrange the marriage, a fierce lion suddenly emerged from the dense underbrush, its roar shattering the peace of the countryside. Instinctively, I rushed toward the beast, driven by a surge of adrenaline and a primal urge to protect those around me. In those fleeting moments, as the lion lunged toward me with jaws agape, I felt a surge of divine strength coursing through my veins. With a mighty roar of my own, I seized the lion by its mane. Grappling with the creature in a battle of wills, the beast's muscles strained against mine, its hot breath mingling with the sweat upon my brow. In the throes of that savage struggle, I called upon the God of my forefathers, invoking his name with a fervor born of desperation and faith. With a final surge of strength, I wrestled the lion to the ground, its lifeless form testament to the power that had been bestowed upon me, a power that transcended mortal understanding. Sometime later, I couldn't resist the urge to revisit the lion's carcass where my victory had unfolded. As I approached, curiosity piqued. I beheld a marvel. A swarm of bees had made their home within the lion's remains, producing sweet honey. Without hesitation, I scooped out the honey with my hands, savoring its golden richness as I journeyed onward. Upon reuniting with my parents, I shared the honey with them, delighting in their enjoyment of this unexpected bounty. Yet, I chose not to reveal its origin, keeping the tale of the lion's defeat and the honey source to myself. As I prepared to journey to Timnah to formalize my union with the Philistine maiden, who had captured my heart, I felt a mixture of anticipation and apprehension. The path ahead was fraught with tension, for I was about to unite with a woman from a people long at odds with my own. As I journeyed to Timnah to take my Philistine bride, my heart swelled with a blend of excitement and trepidation. The air crackled with anticipation as we approached the city, where the celebration of our impending union was to take place. Amidst the festivities, I found myself surrounded by 30 Philistine companions, eager to test my mettle with a challenge of intellect. With a mischievous glint in my eye and a voice resonant with confidence, I posed a riddle to my newfound companions, a puzzle crafted to tease their minds and probe their understanding. Out of the eater came something to eat. Out of the strong came something sweet. The riddle hung in the air, its meaning shrouded in mystery. I watched as the Philistines pondered, their brows furrowed in contemplation, trying to unravel the puzzle I had presented. Little did I know then that this seemingly innocuous exchange would set in motion a series of events that would shape the course of my life and ignite a conflict that would reverberate throughout the land. For days, they struggled in vain to solve it, their frustration growing more apparent with each passing moment. On the fourth day, they resorted to threatening my bride, telling her they would burn her and her father's household if she didn't find out the answer for them. Tears streamed down her face as she pleaded with me to reveal the riddle's secret. Finally, on the seventh day, I relented. I whispered to her the truth. During my travels, I had come across a lion, and later found honey in its carcass, an incredible sight that became the basis of my riddle. With a heavy heart, she shared the answer with the Philistine guests. their triumphant return with the correct solution. What is sweeter than honey? What is stronger than a lion? Betrayed her involvement in uncovering my secret. My reaction was swift and cutting. In my frustration and anger I quipped, "If you had not plowed with my heifer, you would not have solved my riddle." I left the feast in a storm of emotions, journeying to Ashkelon, where I took out my frustration on 30 men to fulfill the wager I had made with them. Returning to Timnah, I hoped to find solace in reuniting with my bride. I envisioned a joyful reunion, but what I found was nothing short of a cruel twist of fate. My heart sank when I learned that she had been given to another man. The betrayal was complete, and my bride was now married to someone else. My dreams of our union were shattered, and I was left to grapple with a profound sense of loss and rage. In my anguish, I resolved to make my pain felt. I couldn't simply let this betrayal go unanswered. I decided to strike back at the Philistines. I needed to make them pay for their deceit. I captured 300 foxes, and with a grim determination, bound their tails in pairs. Between each pair, I placed a firebrand. When the foxes were ready, I set them loose into the Philistines' fields. The flames from the firebrands ignited the crops, vineyards, and olive groves, setting the land ablaze. The fields burned fiercely, the fire consuming everything in its path and leaving behind a trail of destruction. As I watched the flames spread and the smoke rise into the sky, I felt a fleeting sense of satisfaction. Yet, beneath the surface of my rage, the weight of my actions settled heavily on me. Vengeance had brought a temporary sense of relief, but it had also deepened the rift between me and the life I had once hoped for. In the wake of the destruction I had wrought, I needed to retreat from the smoldering remains of Timnah and the fierce anger of the Philistines. My heart still burned with the need to escape, so I went down and stayed in the cleft of the rock of Etam, hoping that a change of scenery might offer some respite. When the Philistines gathered and raided Lehi, the people of Judah confronted them, their voices laced with fear and frustration. "Why have you come up against us?" they demanded. The Philistines responded with a harsh truth. "We have come up to bind Samson, to do to him as he did to us." The men of Judah, numbering around 3,000, came to me at the cleft of the rock of Etam. They said, "Do you not know that the Philistines are rulers over us? What then is this that you have done to us?" I met their eyes with a steely gaze and replied, "As they did to me, so have I done to them." Their response was a bitter revelation. "We have come down to bind you, that we may give you into the hands of the Philistines." In that moment, I felt a pang of betrayal, but I needed their assurance. "Swear to me that you will not attack me yourselves," I demanded. They promised, "No, we will only bind you and give you into their hands. We will surely not kill you." With their word given, they bound me with 2 new ropes and led me up from the rock. When we arrived at Lehi, the Philistines came rushing out with shouts of triumph. It was then that the Spirit of the Lord surged upon me with a force I could not ignore. The ropes binding my arms became like flax that had caught fire. They disintegrated, leaving me free. I scanned the ground and spotted a fresh jawbone of a donkey. I seized it, feeling its rough weight in my hand. Driven by an unstoppable force, I wielded the jawbone with all my might. I struck down 1,000 of the Philistine men, my anger and strength combining in a fury of vengeance. In the aftermath of the battle, I felt a fierce sense of accomplishment, though it came with a heavy heart. The jawbone, now bloodied and battered, lay among the fallen enemies, a testament to the extraordinary struggle I had faced. After that, I left to go to Gaza. Upon arriving in Gaza, I sought refuge in the city's stronghold, finding shelter in a brothel that seemed far removed from the conflicts and betrayals that had plagued my life. I hoped for a moment of peace, but fate had other plans. The Philistines, now more determined than ever to capture me and exact their revenge, were on high alert. Rumors of my presence spread quickly through Gaza, and the city's leaders, fearing my wrath, decided to act. They knew that if they could capture me, they would not only avenge the damage I had inflicted, but also send a clear message to anyone who might defy them. As night fell, I became aware of the growing tension around me. The gates of Gaza, which had once been a symbol of the city's protection, were now being fortified. The Philistines, in their desperation to capture me, closed and locked the city gates, sealing me inside with no apparent way out. Realizing the trap that had been laid for me, I knew I had to act quickly. The Philistines had underestimated my strength and resolve. As the hours passed and the city's defenses were set, I began to prepare for my escape. The thought of being confined, of my enemies believing they had trapped me, ignited a fierce determination within me. When the time was right, I seized my chance. With a surge of divine strength that seemed to emanate from the very depths of my soul, I approached the city gates. I gripped the massive gates with my hands, my muscles straining against the heavy wood and iron. With a mighty heave, I pulled them free from their hinges, the sound of the gates crashing to the ground, echoing through the night. I carried the gates on my shoulders and made my way to the top of a hill near Hebron, far from Gaza's confine. After my escape from Gaza, I continued my journey, seeking solace and purpose amid the turmoil that engulfed my life. Eventually, I met Delilah, a woman whose beauty and charm captivated me. Little did I know that our meeting would mark the beginning of my downfall. Delilah, driven by her own motives, sought to uncover the source of my strength, a strength that had become both my blessing and my burden. 3 times she tried to coax the secret from me, and 3 times I deceived her with false explanations. The first time I told her that if I were bound with 7 fresh bowstrings that had not been dried, I would become weak like any other man. Delilah tested this, but I easily broke free, my true strength remaining hidden. Undeterred, Delilah pressed on. The second time I suggested that if I were bound with new ropes that had never been used, I would lose my strength. Again, she tested this theory, but once more, I broke free effortlessly, my secret stopped. For the third lie, I told Delilah that if she wove my hair into a loom and fastened it with a pin, I would lose my strength. Delilah tried this as well, but like before, I remained strong and free from her grasp. Yet despite my better judgment in the warning signs, I found myself drawn to Delilah, entangled in a dangerous dance of desire and deceit. With each passing day, her persistence wore down my defenses, until finally, weakened by love and longing, I revealed the truth. I confided in her the secret of my strength, a vow to God that bound my hair, a covenant that held the key to my invincibility. Unbeknownst to me, Delilah seized upon this knowledge and conspired with the Philistine leaders to betray me. Once I lay asleep upon her lap, my head cradled in her arms, Delilah summoned a man to shave off my hair. In that fateful moment, the sacred bond that had defined me was severed, leaving me vulnerable and awakening to find myself shorn of my hair. I realized too late the depth of Delilah's treachery. The Philistines, lying in wait, descended upon me with a fury born of vengeance. Bound and helpless, I was led away, my strength drained and my spirit broke. In their cruelty, they gouged out my eyes, robbing me of sight and dignity alike. Imprisoned and tormented, I languished in captivity, my thoughts consumed by regret and remorse. I had betrayed my calling, forsaken my purpose, and now faced the consequences of my folly. Yet in the darkness of my despair, a flicker of hope remained. In the depths of my soul, I sought forgiveness and redemption, praying for one final chance to fulfill my destiny. In the depths of my despair, as I languished in captivity, the memory of my lost strength haunted me. I wrestled with the consequences of my betrayal and the depths to which I had fallen. The once mighty Samson, now blinded and shackled, became a shadow of his former self. But even in my darkest moments, a glimmer of faith remained. I prayed earnestly to the God of my ancestors, seeking forgiveness and guidance. In the silence of my prison cell, I reflected on the purpose that had driven me, a purpose I had forsaken in pursuit of earthly desires. As days turned into weeks and months, my hair began to grow once more, a testament to the passage of time and the resilience of hope. In my solitude, I found solace in the knowledge that my strength, though physical prowess had been stripped away, lay in my faith and the resolve to redeem myself.
Samson, come with us.
While they were in high spirits, they shouted, "Bring out Samson to entertain us." So they called Samson out of the prison, and he performed for them. Now the temple was crowded with men and women. All the rulers of the Philistines were there, and on the roof were about 3,000 men and women watching Samson perform. Then Samson prayed to the Lord.
Sovereign Lord, remember me. Please, God, strengthen me just once more, and let me with one blow get revenge on the Philistines for my 2 eyes."
Then he pushed with all his might, and down came the temple on the rulers and all the people in it. Thus he killed many more when he died than while he lived. Then his brothers and his father's whole family went down to get him. They brought him back and buried him between Zorah and Eshtaol in the tomb of Manoah his father. He had led Israel 20 years